Hi, this is Cindy, and this is Destiny from Keep It Real podcast, and we're here today with the human horror movie Adam Newsome. We're so glad to have you. Thank you.
Hey, it is a huge honor to be on here. I love what you girls are doing. You all are following local professional wrestling and giving a lot of the people, the guys and girls, some recognition, and that goes a long way. We appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. We love it. We love it. Love it.
I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Tommy's my favorite.
Love Tommy.
Always has been.
He is at his age, he's still working matches like crazy. And I mean, he is like Elvis when he comes into the area. People that remember him from the day he come in, and they treat him the same, man. I mean, he's Hulk Hogan of the South.
Yeah. He is. He is. I remember I've been following him since I was probably about 6 years old, 7 years old. Yeah, he's always been my heart. So for those that don't know, you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm the ruggedly handsome homicidal maniac, the human horror movie Adam Newsome, and I've been wrestling for about 8 years now. In my 20s, I did MMA and boxing and had some injuries and stuff. And once I got to 30, both my biceps were tore, shoulders dislocated. Just it was in a fighter's world. It's time to really, hang it up, I guess. Especially, I wasn't fighting in the big league, so I really wasn't making no money or anything. So at 30 years old, I said, man, I've loved pro wrestling from the time I've been able to jump on a trampoline and wrestle a pillow at 4 years old. And I've got this wild imagination. I used to pretend like I would, as soon as I got home from school, I would get on a trampoline with a pillow. I mean, from the time I'm talking kindergarten till 8th grade, I would shoot promos. I'd taunt the crowd. From the time I got home to the time I laid down, pro wrestling was, it was all I knew. And, but anyways, fast forward, I'm 30 years old. I quit MMA and I said, I got to stay competitive. So I sought out Ken Cantrell, who was BCW's promoter in Johnson County, and told him I was interested basically in getting into professional wrestling, and gave me my license, set me up with Michael Jameson, Kobe Carmichael, and the legendary Bart Batten for my training.
Oh, wow.
And I got those guys training me. Bart, he was kind of busy at the time, so he was in and out a lot and at the start. But Mikey and Kobe, they stayed right with me from the get-go and couldn't have asked for two better trainers. So that was basically how it all unfolded, I guess you would say.
It's pretty cool. That's some good people to have training you and supporting you and being behind you.
Kobe, people don't realize Kobe Carmichael is the daredevil himself, as I call him. He's in Wildfire Championship Wrestling at the moment. And, he's got I wouldn't say it's a feud, but he's got a rivalry going with Corey Sparks, who's another up-and-coming young guy. And their matches have been, I call them the curtain matches. You want to stick your head out and check those out because they've been lighting it up.
Yeah, I know Corey. I really like him. I've seen him quite a bit. He's
young. He's athletic. He's got a good look, and he's got a high ceiling. And I root for the kid. I want to see him do really good.
I think he will. He seems like he's a very good person too. You know what I mean? He's very down to earth and just
got his head on straight for a kid his age, it seems like.
So I've got to ask, what made you, I know you've got to love horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
So what made you go with that? So what made you want to go with that theme?
Well, so when I first got into it, my first character was called the Ticking Time Bomb. And it was almost like I don't know if you're familiar with the loose cannon Brian Pillman, but it was kind of really, really running parallel with that character. Well, Ken Cantrell and myself, and maybe one other person, kept it secret as I was training that I would show up sporadically and get thrown out by the law at these events in the crowd. I would be heckling the announcers or, even the commissioner at the time. He didn't know what was going on. So Ken, sometimes you got to work. You don't want to, but sometimes you got to kind of keep it real close to the vest. because the first time I was like up in a seat, I was challenging the commissioner, and he didn't know what to think, and so basically, I think it was the constable or somebody in Johnson County had to come and take me out. I mean, fans were chasing me out, and then you had the young fans that were loving it. They were all into it, but some of the older fans, man, they were following me out in my car immediately.
Oh my gosh.
So the ticking time bomb, I ran with it was me, Michael Jameson, and Duke Allstriker, and we had WTF. It was a faction, a lot like the early DX days. Women Titles and Fame was what the WTF stood for. And when I was brought in, I was kind of like a bodyguard for Mikey, which was kind of like Rick Rude, the insurance policy for Shawn Michaels. So we kind of worked that angle until which I adapted really easy to the world of pro wrestling. I mean, I ain't bragging on myself or nothing, but when you know it and you realize that, you gravitate towards it easy. And when you come through the curtains and you feel the crowd and everything, and you feed off that energy they give you, it's a lot of guys just don't have that. It takes a long time, but I got it immediately. So did the ticking time bomb with WTF for a while. And probably about a year and a half, it was time for the faction to kind of die down and go our separate ways. But me and Mikey kind of still tag team together and stuff. And that's when the Human Horror movie was born. So I wanted to do something different. And I took my love, because I've been obsessed with horror movies since I've been like 3 years old. I mean, from the time I could remember watching, I can remember my mom taking my brothers to watch Friday the 13th Part 7 when I was probably 3. And she thought that I would just not, it wouldn't bother me, that I wouldn't pick up what was on the screen, but she was wrong, because I screamed and cried the whole time.
Oh.
But I thank her to this day, because that's what got me, that was the start of what one of my passions were. And but anyways, I talked to Mikey. I'm like, dude, I'm thinking about, because we were double shotting that day. We were in Martin, Kentucky, and then we were at Wheelwright. So I was like, man, I'm thinking about doing something different tonight in Wheelwright. And he's like, why? What you got planned? I was like, I've got my Leatherface gear out in the car. I was like, I thought about doing, wearing it out. I've got a chainsaw. He said, you've got a chainsaw in your car? Yeah. I said, I ain't got the chain on it. I said, but what do you think about an entrance, man? Nobody's going to expect this. Everybody's thinking me to come out with glasses on and that cane I had. And I was like, what if I come out with a bloody apron and a tie and a mask? And then once I get out, take it off. And man, let me tell you, it was immediate. The reaction to it was immediate. So I think it was 3 weeks later in Paintsville, I wore a Jason mask. I started mixing it up to where the crowd before shows were wondering, they were trying to ask people, who's that? Do you know who Adam is tonight? Who's Adam going to be tonight? So it kind of added in an element of mystery too. Every week you showed up, you didn't know what entrance you were going to get.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite gimmick?
Are you talking about my favorite character that I came out in? Or talking about my favorite wrestling character that I've been?
Yeah, the favorite character that you came out in.
Oh, it's got to be, man. Last show we were at John M. Stumbo, and I was Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Part 3, because I'm real in particular. Like if I do one from a sequel. So I was in my side-by-side. I drove my side-by-side to the show. I was close enough to do that. Well, I'm sitting out in it, and Richie Rich walks by, and he looks at me, and he's like, are you using it for your entrance? And I was like, well, I didn't think about it. He's like, brother, why don't you do that? I was like, you don't care? He's like, no, go for it. So I was like, all right. So I threw my chainsaw in the back of the back of the bed. And when it was time for my match, I had the bright lights on, and I hit them on my side-by-side. So the crowd automatically looks over and sees the lights. And then I turn on like a song that played in that scene, because there's a scene in Part 3 where Leatherface gets in a truck and turns the radio on, and it's a big hard rock song kicks in, and he runs over Ken Foray. So I turned that same song on my loudspeaker on my side-by-side, came around the fans on the baseball field. And once I got out, I grabbed the chainsaw and started it up. And I mean, I'm telling you, the kids came over, and like it looked like 7 or 8 kids were just going crazy, and they walked to the ring with me. It was so organic, man. It was. If you ever get a chance, check that one out, man, because that entrance, it was wild, man. It was fun too. But that would probably be my favorite character that I did, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw 3.
That's awesome. I like that. I know Jeremiah, the last couple of times we've seen you, he's 11. And he
Yeah.
told me he never watches our podcasts ever. And when he found out you were going to be there, he's like, I'm watching that one. I've got to see that one. Yeah, he's just, he loves you.
Well,
Loves
tell
you.
him that I appreciate it. And the next time I see him, I'll have him a little something then.
Well, we'll see you on the 7th. Is it the
Yes,
7th?
because listen to me. You girls are getting the human horror movie red carpet treatment for Betsy Lane. You all will have free tickets. We'll try to set you up a table close to the ring, and if you want to, you can film, you can commentate, and put together a podcast show. We would love it. Any exposure for you all and us is awesome. So you all will have 2 free tickets to Adam Newsome versus Shane Douglas, which is something that I would have never, if you would have told me when I was 11 years old this would be happening, I would have laughed, So
Thank you so much. That's such an honor.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll definitely be there.
it'd be
Definitely.
an honor to have you girls too, man.
And like you said, you wrestling Shane Douglas. Oh my gosh, he's franchise. I mean,
we were in a cage match together about probably about 4 or 5 years ago. But we were on the same team, and just to work alongside him it blew to come out, because when I was a kid and I heard his music, "Perfect Strangers" by Deep Purple kick in and him come out with Francine, that was one of the greatest entrances that I had ever seen. Well, to get to walk through those curtains with him with that blasting, and I had a Jason mask on and a machete, and I mean, it was a surreal experience, man. It was crazy.
I can imagine. Oh my gosh. See, for us, just getting to talk to you guys, that's one thing I love about independent wrestling too, is that we can get more personal. We can get to know you all. We can see you, talk to you. Whereas in a lot of these bigger shows, professional shows, you're lucky if you even get to get close enough for a handshake.
Well, I mean, independent wrestling, everybody started there. I mean, what we're doing, and I'm getting up in age. I don't have any expectations of being on WWE or AEW or anything. Now, I do feel confident, and I don't care to tell a lot of people this, but I do feel confident if I got started in my early 20s that I could have made some noise, I feel like, because before I got married, had a family and kid, because my son's my life. I mean, if it's time for a ball game or something, I'm there, But to really make it in pro wrestling, I mean, to make it's really a single man, a young man, a guy that can really just dedicate his whole life to it and get over, because getting over is huge. And if you've got that ability and you're young and, you take care of yourself, work out, I can't say eat right because God knows my diet is trash. But just take care of yourself, man. That's really when to do it. I mean, if you're young, chase your dreams. I tell anybody, because you can do it. I mean, it can be done.
And Destiny's training now.
Really? Where are you training at, Destiny?
FTC.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that is awesome. That is awesome. And you're going to do awesome. I promise. You just stay, like I said, take care of yourself, work out, train, don't hurt yourself, take care of yourself. There's a thing called a bump card. Have you ever heard of a bump card before?
I don't think so.
Well, in wrestling, it is protecting yourself. Don't take crazy, stupid bumps early on when they don't matter. It's a bump card because eventually it'll run out. And when it runs out, you're in trouble. So always be protective of yourself and save your bump card. Only do it. Use your good judgment. That's what I'll say on that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good advice. Good advice. So what's it like working for WCW?
Man, it has been an absolute blessing. So when BCW shut down due to COVID, I've been out of the ring for 2 years. And I didn't even know if I'd ever wrestle again, to be honest. So I started working back out, getting in good shape. And Henry Shaw got a hold of me. And he's like, do you want to come to a show in Sayersville? Me and Kobe we done it. And man, we had a heck of a match. I mean, we absolutely had a really good match. And we come back to the curtains when the locker room, claps and gives you high fives and tells you did good. That's when hey, listen, we're not out of the game. We're still in it. So worked that one with Henry, and I was still hungry. Well, Wildfire got a hold of me. They were doing a show in Letcher County. And they asked me if I'd be interested in coming over. And it was Tommy Rich and Richie Rich was the guys over. And I was like, yeah, I will. I'd love to come. And I didn't know anybody on that card. I knew Fiji Wildman. Me and Fiji had worked a few programs together. But I mean, I was going into a locker room without my clique, my buddies. It was me alone. So it's kind of weird. But Tommy, Richie, Joe Pace, guy me and him just beat the Faro. Psych Ward, Kenny France, trying to think of who else was on that card. But anyways, it was a really good card, and those guys were really nice to me. But me and Misery had a heck of a match that night. Like, it was so awesome. The entrance, I came out as Leatherface from part 3. I was letting the crowd hold my chainsaw, rev it up. I mean, it was just, we got them going. Like, I felt happy to say that we got the crowd into that event. And once we got them going, it was all night long, man. They were ready to rock and roll. But one of the high moments was when we were in this match. And Misery is a big dude. He's close to 7 foot tall. He's got an awesome look. I mean, the dude. Now you talk about a guy that could have really could go far, just with that menacing look. I mean, the way he does that character. But anyways, we had the crowd rocking and rolling to the point where Tommy and Richie come out from the curtains and was like, "What's going on out here?" I mean, something big's happening. So me and Misery just work a heck of a match. Nothing crazy, nothing, no flying or nothing. Just a big monster and a anti-hero fighting back, man. I mean, it was good. And after that match, Richie, I did a podcast with Tommy right after that show. I set my computer right up. We did a podcast together. But ever since then, I was over at Milton, West Virginia with them. Loved that show. Loved being out there at that fair. That was cool. Worked Joe again. Me and Joe's worked a few times, man. And I love working with him. He's easy. If you get to work with a big, strong, smart guy, it's real easy. All you got to do is sell and get the crowd back into it. But I love Richie Rich to death. Think the world of him. Him and Sheila, awesome people. And Tommy, anytime I can put my ear next to where Tommy is at and just hear what he's talking about or talking to other guys, soaking it in like a sponge, man.
Yeah, he's had so much experience and he's been through all of it. I've got to sit down and talk to him a few times, but I haven't known him personally for years. But I mean, just from what he's told me, I'm like, heck of a life he's led.
Oh yeah. You couldn't have said it any better. He's lived a heck of a life.
Yeah.
And he's got time for his fans still to this day, man. And that means a lot to not just the fans, but workers, guys that really want to improve their wrestling ability or their character and stuff. To have a man that was the Hulk Hogan of the South, as I say, because he was a rock star, dude, and still is. I mean, he comes into town, man, it's a party.
Yeah, for sure.
But just being able to soak in that knowledge, and I've been fortunate enough now. I talked to him personally, and it's just it's been a big blessing for real.
It is a blessing. I mean, yeah, I think you got hooked up with some good people.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's just sometimes I really believe the good Lord just puts you where you need to be with the people around you, and I really think that Wildfire and the Human Horror Movie helped each other so far. It's just been the right situation at the right time. To me, it has.
Yeah, we were actually at that Milton show.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we were at the Milton show, and we were talking about how it was just the whole show was just energetic. I mean, it kept everybody going. I mean, you all did a great show.
And that was I think the Battle Royal. I'll tell you what, that was when the Russian and Top Gun, that was a good match. And Top Gun's a heck of a guy, man. He's a heck of a worker too. If you get a chance, anybody that gets a chance watching this, if you get a chance, watch him. And the Russian Assassin, I think, was who he worked. Man, both those guys put on a heck of a show, and the crowd was just eating it up, absolutely eating it up.
Yeah, I loved watching the kids. All the kids chasing him around. I mean, well, and you too. What wrestler inspired you?
Ravishing Rick Rude.
To want to wrestle.
Rick Rude. Rick Rude was the main, like, man, I would be lying if I said that Rick Rude just didn't inspire me to be a wrestler, but his mannerisms, the way he carried himself, like even in high school, I had like a bathrobe I kept in my locker that I would walk through the hallways, like going to class, walk inside. I mean, I just loved Rude because he was tough. He was a ladies' man, but he was he would cower when the time needed to, but he would fight you, and he is a legitimate tough dude. I mean, he was a tough guy. I mean, all the old timers and people will tell you that, you know, he was meaner. He was tougher than the Road Warriors. They said that Rick Rude was the toughest, but he was number one. Tully Blanchard was another guy that really inspired me.
Wow.
Tully, Scott Hall, the Great Muda. I mean, it's real left field. I guess that speaks for itself. But those are the guys that inspired me, man. Rick Rude, number one. Brian Pillman, I can't say enough about that loose cannon character because it really helped me. That was my first character. Doing that ticking time bomb thing, I mean, I'm lucky I don't have a lot of diseases because we would be in some real rural parts of the country, and like an old man would be ready to take a drink of pop. I'd just grab it, I'd drink it, or I'd rip people's hands and eat it. I mean, it was just whatever I could do, unpredictable. And I probably ate it's telling, man. I probably should go get updated on my shot record or whatever.
It might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it's probably too late. But, oh yeah, I did. I went to AMW for a brief moment, and I was astonishing Adam. It was pretty much a Rick Rude type character, ravishing Rick, astonishing Adam. It didn't last long. I should have done that early on in my career if I was going to do it. But it was I had Mitchell Colley, who was a really good friend of mine. It was our manager. We were in a faction called the Reformation, and he was basically our Bobby Heenan of the Heenan family is the way I looked at him. And, you know, he was just a young guy, man. He was younger than me. So Mitch probably passed away 2-3 years ago. And, man, he was a big part of what we did. He was at every show. He was the brains behind the operation. He had like BCW, what he did for BCW there before COVID hit, helping get the show together and music and just storylines he did. And he was so good on the microphone. And it's really been different since I've not had him in our clique, because he was the comedy. He kept us rolling, and he was a good guy. And he would be so tickled right now with Wildfire. It's a real shame he ain't with us.
Yeah. So, who is the one person in the independent circuit, anybody, that you haven't got to have a match with that you would like to?
Man, that's a good one. I'm gonna tell you, that was I would have said Psych Ward until a couple weeks ago. I met him backstage at the first Wildfire show, and he had this awesome look to him. I mean, he had he had the contacts in. He looked like he was from the apocalyptic times, and I mean, he had a good look. And I was like, man, I got to work this dude. And I told Richie that. I was like, you know, we need to bring him in. I'd like to work this guy. Well, as fate would have it, Joe booked me to come up to the fair, and I got up there, and he asked me, he said, it was the day Terry Funk passed away. And he's like, man, how would you feel about doing a street fight with Psych Ward tonight in a tribute to Terry Funk? I was like, sign me up, dude. I appreciate it. My goodness. I've been wanting to work him anyways, let alone a Terry Funk tribute match. So that, man, that was one I could knock off the list right there. And I'm trying to think, is there anybody I'm willing to go to war with just about anybody. I've been blessed to have matches with everybody that I've wanted to, you know, John Noble, Michael Jameson. I mean, just so many of them, man, that guys that I looked up to in the indies, I've got to battle with them back and forth. And as of right now, you know, just send them my way is the way I look at it.
Well, what about since you've already had the big match that you wanted, anybody in the professional world, the big leaguers?
Oh gosh, man. You know, Fantasy Warfare would have been big. I sit back and think about that sometimes. You know, the human horror movie against Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14, that would have been killing. I mean, just sometimes that's Undertaker, when he was with Ministry of Darkness against the Human Horror movie. That would have been killer. Just a lot of Attitude Era characters. I think I would have fit into that era. Although I do love the '80s Crockett stuff, the Horseman, Dusty, Road Warriors. I love that. But getting to wrestle Shane Douglas that's as bad as I've worked with Ricky Morton before in tag matches. I've been in the ring with some cool, Bobby Fulton. That was my first professional wrestling match was Bobby Fulton, and buddy, we didn't hardly do anything, but I had a panic attack in the ring because I was so nervous.
Aw.
And he was so good and he's like, put me in a headlock. I was like, all right. He's like, take me over here to the cameraman and let's get some good pictures. And I was like, all right, I see that. Okay, I can put that up here and think about that. And it was just, in 8 minutes, he taught me so much that I couldn't have learned over the years. I was like, all right, I learned this, and this in my first match. I'm sure that, and I was having anxiety at the moment too. So it was just a cool deal, honestly. But yeah, I would have liked to face Stone Cold in his run as champ, man. I think that would have been fun.
I could see that. You could see that one. That would be a good one.
I think, he was over. I mean, he was the most over babyface ever at the time. The Rock was the heel. But I feel like I would have had call me crazy, and a lot of people will, but I feel like I could have had a lot of the crowd on my side also. And it could have been a baby versus baby WrestleMania moment. And that would have been awesome, man.
I could see that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, because the things that we've been to, the first time we saw you, we were like, who's this guy? Where's he from? You start Googling your name. See, are you with AEW, WCW? Where are you at? Somewhere that we haven't seen yet.
Where was the first time you guys got to watch one of my matches? Do you remember where y'all were at?
Yeah, the first one was at Wildfire in Milton.
Yes,
that was the first time we got to see you.
My good buddy Bo Matheny from Bo's Tractor Works. They've got the best CBD cream. And like I said, my elbow's been hurting me, so I've got a little bit of a thing on it. But I rode with him over to that show, and we laughed the whole way. And we're actually going to be up in Chillicothe this Saturday at Bobby Fulton's Great Fall Bash 2. So we're going to be set up with the CBD cream. And I'm really looking forward to talking to Rip Rogers, and we can get some of that AW ointment for his leg, man.
Yeah, that's good. We were at the FTC one where you fought Cyborg.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Man, that was a great show. From top to bottom, I thought that was just a really good show. And the Voodoo King, man, is something to see with your own eyes. I've just seen where Richie Rich just popped up on my. He just texted and said something about we want to run October 28th. Hey, so we're getting bookings as we're on here right now.
That's awesome.
The Wildfire is on fire.
Yes, I've been seeing this and here. Everywhere.
Oh, I've got something to announce too. We have a official broadcaster, Mike Blankenship, and he is awesome. He just done a YouTube like a rundown of the show, and if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, check it out. He is awesome. He's going to be like I broadcast Betsy Lane High School Sports. I've got my own channel, and he's actually going to set up on Bobcat Sports Live at Betsy Lane, and he's going to broadcast it live on there. So I'm looking forward to that also. That's going to be pretty cool.
And what would people look for to watch that again?
Bobcat Sports Live. It's a Betsy Lane High School, Betsy Lane Middle School sports page that I started about 4 years ago. We get a lot of views on there for football, basketball, and everything. And this event will be, because it is a fundraiser for the football team. So I found it appropriate to have our first event with a broadcaster and stuff. So this is a big deal, man. And he's going to do really good. I'm excited about it.
We're excited.
Bobcat Sports Live. Yeah. That will be how they can watch it.
Okay, Bobcat Sports Live. We always tag everything.
Yeah.
In the bottoms and stuff so that we can get it out there. And you were talking about. I apologize.
No, you're all right.
Matheny. What was his first name?
Mike Blankenship.
No, the Matheny. You was talking about the oil.
Oh, Bo. Yeah, Bo's Tractor Works.
Matheny. Yes, I was getting ready to call him Bob, and I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Hold on 1 second. I'll actually show you a jar of it. So basically, I'm in with them, and we've been traveling around and everything, and this is what it looks like right here. Well, Appalachian Hills 11.
Yeah.
But it is a CBD cream, as you can see right there. And you put it on your elbow, shoulders, knees. Like I put it on for pre-workout and post-workout. But if I've got a muscle strain or something, it will blow your mind how fast this stuff works. And it's all natural. I mean, it's not. I used to have a really bad habit of taking Motrin 800s when I got home from work. And like to the point to where my wife was like, Adam, your kidneys and liver are going to shut down. Well, ever since I got in with Bo Matheny and started using this, I bet I haven't took, like if I've had a really bad headache, I took a Motrin. But this stuff right here has absolutely knocked that in the head. I don't even just rub it. Even when I had a headache, I can put it through here behind my temple and ears, and my headache will go away.
Well, how would someone go about ordering that or getting in touch with them to get it?
Okay, Bo's Tractor Works on Facebook. Add him on there. His phone number is 205-2668. And they have their website now. So you can actually order it on their website, bostractorworks.com, if I'm not mistaken. But they're really great people. They've been really good to me. And I sell it I work kids out here at the Bears Den, and I sell it out of my own little home gym here. So a lot of people just drop it in weekly, knocking on the door, wanting some of this. So It's going to hit, especially, Tommy loves it. Tommy Rich, he absolutely loves it. Puts it on his hands. His hands are pretty rough with arthritis, and he loves it on his hands.
We'll have to make sure we get that out there. We'll find the page and we'll share the page too. Also, what was the next upcoming, not this event coming up, but what's the next couple events that you all have?
Okay, so we're going to be at Floyd Central on November the 4th. And that's, if I can beat Shane Douglas, Nick Hamrick has to give me a title shot at that show. He has to. So, I mean, a lot is riding on this Shane Douglas match. So if that, you can't predict the future or anything, especially when you're facing a Hall of Famer. But if I can somehow get past him, then I've got Nick Hamrick. He has to give me a title shot at Floyd Central on November the 4th. November the 11th, we will be in Shelby Valley High School in Pike County for a Veterans Day theme show, Honor and Glory. So those are going to be big events. I think we may be coming back to West Virginia at the end of October, from what I seen pop up on my phone a minute ago. I don't know. I'll keep you up to date on that. Hoping so. It's I loved it up there. I loved it in Milton. I thought that was a good place. I mean, it just felt good up there, man. It felt relaxing, and I wouldn't care to dabble back in up there in Ashland and Huntington. I'd like to come say hi to you guys up there.
Oh, we'd like that.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. That'd be great. And this one coming up, you have one. Did you say you have one this coming weekend, or is it the 7th?
This Saturday, I'm going with Bo's Tractor Works, and we're setting up at Bobby Fulton's Great Fall Bash 2 in Chillicothe. So we're going to be set up with the wrestlers, and we're going to be selling the Appalachian Hills 11 and the AW. And hopefully I can get around to some of the guys that took a lot of bumps and bruises over the years and just be like, try this, man. And hopefully they can get some relief from their lifelong dedication of entertaining us, because this stuff will really help them. I mean, it's good stuff.
I'm sure they would be appreciative. Because that's no fun. I mean, especially when you start getting 40, 50 and up, you get more aches and pains than.
I tell them, when I was 34, I felt 24. But when I got to 36, it's like the check engine light came on. I'm telling you, it was, for the last 2 years, I've been more sore, more sluggish, and I just got to keep going. But now listen, Bo and his bunch will be set up at Betsy Lane. They'll be selling it at the Wildfire event at Betsy Lane High School. So they'll have jars there for sale for everyone. Also, any event I'm at, Bo's at. So that's usually the way we run as a tag team.
Say, are y'all brothers by chance?
Just good friends. Just real close friends. We met through pro wrestling when he was getting this product out, he came to a show. I think it was my second show back. A mutual friend said, right here's a guy you need to talk to. And he brought Bo over to me. And Bo gave me like a 3-minute rundown of what this stuff does. And I shot a promo in Pennywise makeup with him. I mean, just boom, we just knocked it out. And I said something like, my opponent will need this after the match more than me. And then I walked out and Bo came over and said, man, that was great. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And then we talk every day, and him and his sons make this stuff. It's been real. He's a solid guy, man. That whole family is solid people. Couldn't say enough. Greg Justice also. He works with them. Heck of a dude. So, yeah, just a good friend.
What is your favorite, since you're the human horror movie, what is your favorite horror movie?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74 is my favorite all-time horror movie. Just because of the family aspect. I always see myself as Leatherface because he had 2 older brothers, and I had 2 older brothers. I was the bigger one of the family. He's the bigger one of the family. I always gravitated towards that. His different looks, his different just chainsaw, everything. There was a lot of unique things to him, to me. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my franchise. Now, I do love Friday the 13th. I love Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser. I ain't really too wild about Hellraiser. I like the first one. Scream, you name it. Night of the Living Dead, House of Thousand Corpse. But Chainsaw is that's my franchise, And there's people running around, with chainsaws, but I was doing it first.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, it was me. I did this.
Yeah. I was the grandfather of the slashers of professional wrestling. Now let me ask you guys something. What's your favorite scary movie?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, the original is still one of the scariest movies ever.
Yeah. That's always my favorite. One where Johnny Depp was in it.
I'm going to show you something too here. It's really cool. So we were doing a show over in Letcher County about 5 years ago, and it was at a volunteer fire department. And we had to get dressed across the road in a abandoned apartment.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So as creepy as that sounds, it gets even creepier. So I'm up there getting my boots on and everything, and one of the wrestlers comes over and he says, Adam, you got to check this out, dude. Come back here. And I was like, is it a body? I mean, what is back there? So we go in the back. Everything is abandoned, by the way. We go into a bedroom, and it's empty. He opens a closet door up, and this is hanging.
Just hanging in there by itself.
Just hanging on the wall. Somebody had made a real Freddy glove. This is real. And I was like, dude, I can't take that. He said, listen, it was meant for you to find it. It was meant for you to he said, I'm taking it and I'm putting it in your car. And I was like, well, I'm not taking it out of here because it could be a bad omen and anything. But everyone who did this, man, really did a wonderful job. I mean, it's as homemade as it can get, and it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, to find that hanging and at a wrestling show in an abandoned, I mean, it's just the world of pro wrestling, man. It's something else. You never know what.
Make you wonder what was in there before you, right?
It may, yeah. I was a little bit creeped out, but it's a good memory because even the trip home, we got lost in the woods. It was crazy. So that was a real memorable night.
What was your favorite?
Halloween.
Which one? Which one was your favorite? Halloween. Which Halloween?
The first one, actually.
Yes, I love 1 and 2. I think they go together good when she's at the hospital. I always like watching 1 and 2 together. Halloween 4 is a great one. Halloween 6 is a good one. I was talking about this with somebody earlier today, anyways. But I thought Part 6 was underrated. I was in 5th grade when it came out, I think, and it came out at the time when grunge music was going, and in that movie, it all went together like it was at the time. So that movie sticks out to me, even though a lot of people don't care much for it.
I like most horror movie franchises, but the one that really upset me was Freddy versus Jason.
Did you like it? The only thing I didn't care about Freddy, but there was a couple things that I really didn't care about, is how they used Ken Kersinger instead of Kane Hodder. I thought they should have went with Kane because Ken was 6'10". I didn't like the martial arts fighting back and forth with them. I didn't like. I mean, that was just too far over my head. But if you're going to sit down at midnight and eat a big bowl of cereal, and it's not bad to watch. I don't guess. But it could have been done a lot better, like you said. It could have been done better.
I was like, it was kind of reaching. I mean, I know they're all reaching, but it just seemed a little bit, like you said, a little bit over the top.
Now, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake really let me down. And it was just so CGI. And honestly, they got the best guy they could get to play Freddy Krueger other than Robert Englund. And it just wasn't the same. And that tells you how much a man means to a role right there when they can get the best guy. Because nothing against Jackie Earl Haley. He's one of the best actors out there. And he's small, skinny. I mean, he had the build of Robert Englund. But for him not to be able to even come close, man, it was hard to watch.
Yeah. Robert Englund's a special. And he's very special.
He's a talent. I mean, he's an absolute. He's a horror. I mean, he's what Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy and all those guys were to the old days is what Freddy Krueger is the modern horror fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was always my favorite. And I can remember growing up, my brother would be so terrified because I'd love to watch it. He'd be so scared, and I'd be sitting there. I'd be telling on myself. I would laugh. I'd be watching him laughing.
Well, that was the way my brother got me out of a room. Wanted to watch something that I shouldn't be watching. Was Freddy Krueger's going to get you? So that was my way of getting out and going and getting in bed with my parents or my older brother. That was, Freddy Krueger's going to get you, or he'd start scraping the wall. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I was traumatized at an early age. So.
Which is why you like him now, right?
Exactly. What else can you be scared of when you're 38 years old? Which I'll be going to Scarefest in Lexington, October the 21st, and Nick Castle played Michael Myers. James Courtney, he's going to be there. There's going to be some guys from Halloween that I really want to meet and get their autographs too. Went down last year, and R.A. Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Part 3, the one that I think so highly of. I've got to be really good friends with him. He's been on my podcast.
Oh,
I always say hi to him. And by the way, you guys check out my podcast. It's a Wild Time podcast on YouTube, and I've had a lot of UFC fighters, horror actors, and old wrestlers. Anybody I can get that I think was cool, like a variety, I throw them on. Man, we've had some good times.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. We didn't even know you had a podcast until we were watching. Here's a little plug. Brock's Boulder, Hitting the Ropes. We were watching that when we heard you talk about you're having the podcast. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. I like Brock. That was a fun show. Very similar to this one. You guys got it going on, man. I'm telling you, this is a blast. You all, like I said, I appreciate y'all just giving me the time to come on here and talk a little bit with y'all, man.
Well, we appreciate you coming on here. I mean, because like I said, we love to interact with you guys, and we love for other people to know more about you. I always tell everybody, independent wrestling is not like you think it is. I mean, when you go, you're getting a show. They're putting it all on the line for you. I mean, they really are. And it's a package for that couple of hours that you're watching. Everything else just kind of goes away.
That means the world, because I'll tell you, and I'll be honest, from day one, when I stepped through the curtains, I don't care if there's 4 people there, 400 people, I'm giving them everything I got. And I want to give them something unique. I want to give them a different, I'm all about fighting, wrestling, but I want to give them a unique experience also. And it don't have to be goofy. It don't have to be comedy. It's just, when I come through there, they look at me and they say, he's different. He's believable, but he's different.
Yeah, you for sure. You are different. You stand out, and you're memorable. People remember who you are. It's not just one that, oh, I remember him, because after you see him again, people are talk about you. You know. Do you have any questions?
No.
Why?
I had one and then she took it.
What was
Take
it?
it. Listen to her. Think of
I want
another
to ask
one.
you a question. What's been the hardest part of training so far?
The cardio.
Yeah, for sure.
That and the promos.
Promos. Wow, you're getting your feet wet right now doing this. This is going to help you in that world tremendously. Now, are you mother and daughter?
Mm-hmm.
That another thing is awesome. Like, I would give anything if my son would do this with me. But I'm at the stage right now. Dad, I ain't doing that with you. Dad, I don't want you to come down here. He's 13 right now, and I'm not as cool as I used to be. But the cardio, sis, you're right. It is ring shape is different. You know, fight shape is different than basketball shape, than football shape. You get in that ring, and you got to learn to control your breathing. Remember, through your nose, out your mouth. That's what I tell all the kids down here. Try to learn to control your breathing. You know, hit those ropes good, which, you know, I'd say you've got some bruises on those ribs from the ropes, probably.
Yeah.
But no, I'm tickled, man. That's awesome. Keep doing this with your mom and keep training, man. And I will root you on, and we'll have you on my podcast soon.
Hey, there you go.
That's awesome. Thank
That's
you.
great. Do you have any other advice for somebody that might be trying to get into wrestling?
Yes. And, you know, I feel bad for saying this because I was joking with Kobe the other day when we was in the locker room. I just went on a rant, and that's not me. I'm the most fun-loving guy ever. But I feel like so many people don't sell no more. Like, selling is a lost art. People don't realize how important it is. You know, that's how you get the crowd to care about you. You sell for them. You want them to, you know, you want them to rally behind you and get them going. So selling, if you're getting into pro wrestling and your ring work, you know, remember, my trainers told me to sell. Every time somebody does something to you, make sure it means something. Sell it. Give the audience time to let it register. You know, don't be hopping and flopping and flying and they can't figure out what's going on. Sell everything. Give it time. And, you know, I'm still guilty of this. You know, Zodiac told me this. He's like, man, slow down a little bit. Sometimes I'll get to where I'm going a little too fast. And when you think you're going, you know, fast, or when you think you're going slow down even more. Just let everything register. As far as character goes, that's something I'm myself. I'll be honest with you. Like I'm when I walk out through there, what you see is who I am up here in the kitchen at 9 o'clock at night. Really, you just crank it up a little bit, you know. But you know, I take my inspirations like Axl Rose, David Lee Roth, Leatherface. I mean, anything that I was entertained by and like, all right, I like that, and cram it in. That's who I am. So it's real easy for me to be myself, and I'm real comfortable out there amongst the crowd. So when you pick a character, or you know, try to make it close to yourself. I always say, because it's easier for, if you believe in yourself, they're going to believe in you even easier. So always, you know, don't try to go out there and be something that you don't feel comfortable being. You know, you be somebody that, you know, that's who I am, and they're going to buy into it too.
That's great advice. Great advice. Let's see, there was something else. Oh, what's something that you wish you would have known when you started?
That friends in wrestling are few and far in between. And they will cut your throat if they think that you're getting ahead. Certain people will. Like, and I always heard, you know, guys I looked up to say that, like on podcasts and stuff. But I've got a hand, and I'm the kind of guy that gets along with everybody. Like, I don't have heat in locker rooms. I'm real respectful, shake everybody's hand. Like at that show with Psych Ward, Bobby Blaze, man, just to be back there with him, I was following him around like a lost dog, just trying to pick up knowledge and stuff. And, you know, I got to know that in a matter of like 2 hours. I got to be buddies with that locker room. You know, I was hugging them, and, you know, they're just all good people. Just be real, you know, respectful in locker room situations, which I'm sure you know that. But what did I know? But yeah, friends. Like, I've got a couple friends, and that's about it, buddy. If somebody thinks you're going to get a jump, or they will cut you down. But you can't let them cut you down. You got to stay strong. You got to make yourself, You know, if somebody tries to cut you down, you stay strong. I don't care what happens. I mean, you know, believe in yourself and your character. Like, protect it if you can. You know, sometimes promoters will want to cut you down if they think you're getting ahead of them or something, but you just stay strong. You know.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh,
And I got one more question for you, if you've got time.
I've got time.
Okay. Who is besides, well, I guess I called your favorite hardcore match that you've ever seen?
Favorite hardcore match? Ooh, that's a good one. Man, I used to have Starrcade '86 on VHS when I was a kid, and that was my thing to go to. Like that VHS, I studied every match on it as a kid, and there was a Louisville street fight between Ronnie Darvin and Big Bubba Rogers. That was a good one. There's another one with Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA, the cage match.
Magnum.
That's probably my favorite as far as just bloodiest, just tough fight. I mean, they really beat each other down, man. I like Sabu and Terry Funk, Born to be Wired, too. That was a brutal match in ECW. I think Sabu ripped his tricep open, and they had to tape it up, or his bicep. I can't remember, but they tied it up. But, you know, those, Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit had a couple real good ones. There was no blood in them, but they beat each other to death. You could tell they were stiff, really stiff.
Yeah, sometimes I think some of their out of the ring stuff really leaked in.
That was a shoot. That was a shoot. Because, and what's crazy is Kevin Sullivan booked his divorce, basically. I mean, putting them two together like that. But those two, I can't remember if it was Bash at the Beach or Great American Bash, but they fought into the bathroom. It was stiff, man. Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit had two back-to-back battles. It was brutal.
They always were. Kevin Sullivan, I mean, I love Chris Benoit. I still do.
Yeah.
You know, always will. Hate what happened to him. Rest his soul. But Kevin Sullivan was always just mean. I mean, no matter what fight he was in. So the Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the early '80s, he had Kevin Sullivan's Army, where he was about like a Satanist or something, and he had like woman, and I always had, I thought she was like the most beautiful woman in wrestling. Like, I thought she was gorgeous. Like, if I had to have a dream valet, it would have been Medusa, but woman would have been right behind her, a close second.
She was beautiful.
She was naturally beautiful.
Yes. My favorite going to female managers and wrestlers, my favorite was always Miss Elizabeth, because I always thought she was just so elegant.
Classy. She was classy.
Yes. I was like, I want to be like her. Of course, I was never like her, but I always wanted to be.
You had her, and you had Scary Sherry, and it was like total opposites, you know. And Miss Elizabeth was everybody. She was like wrestling's sweetheart, so it was easy to be behind her and be mad at Macho Man Randy Savage for being mean to her.
Mm-hmm. That and Baby Doll.
Oh yeah, she's ahead of her time. Honestly, she was ahead of her time. She could beat you up, and she was pretty. I mean, she was a big, strong woman, but was pretty. I mean, she was beautiful, and there wasn't a lot like that at that time. There wasn't nobody like that at that time, really.
No. It's like she was a Rhea Ripley of the '80s or something.
I was going to say China, but that's probably a better way to put it, because she wasn't as muscular as China, but she was big, strong woman. And you're right, man. Rhea's a good comparison to that.
I already asked you about the voice. Are you glad that you chose wrestling?
Yes. Yeah, I just wish I had done it about 5 years earlier. Because right now I think my window is starting to slowly close. It ain't shutting, but it's slowly closing. And man, I wish I'd had about 5 more years, before. I wish I'd started at like 25, honestly. But I'm glad I did MMA, because I love fighting. I love mixed martial arts too, and I've been a huge fan of that since I was 10. And I'm thankful that I can look back when I'm 60 or 70, if Lord lets me live that long, and say, man, I got to do that too. But pro wrestling is something I felt like you feel like you can do something at a high level. If there was one thing if you could do, I feel like professional wrestling is one thing I can do at a high level. So I should probably attacked it early on.
I think you probably got a while yet.
Yeah, well, if I can keep myself the bump card, I've took good care of myself in the bump card situation. So I've not really done anything crazy or tried to. I try to pop the audience without flying through tables or chairs or setting myself on fire or anything like that. I try to do it emotionally and personality wise, and psychology. You don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to see you set yourself on fire or anything.
No, there's no, there's no chance that's going to happen.
There was something else. What was it? Oh, what is your favorite finisher move?
Oh, favorite finisher move. Well, mine is the Scorpion Death Drop, which is called the Slaughterhouse Drop. I used to do a moonsault till I dislocated my fingers doing it. Yeah, instead you're supposed to ball your hand up. Well, supposed to ball your hand up. Go. Well, I did it like that, and my fingers got caught in the mat, and it was just a mess. But my favorite finishing move, I'll tell you a move that I liked a lot was Mark Marrow used to do it. It's called a TKO, where he put them in the fireman's carry and swing them around for a neck breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Always liked that one. Always liked Val Venus, a swan dive off the top rope. I mean, he was a big dude and he could get air, and I thought that he done that well. Let's see here. I like Kevin Nash's jackknife. I thought his power bomb was different than the other guys because he released it instead of slamming them. He kind of did them up and just release them, and it looked cool. But yeah, those would probably be my favorite finishing moves.
Who do you in wrestling now? Who do you think is the most promising? Like, who's your favorite right now?
Man, everybody that I liked died in the last little bit. Like, I was really high on Luke Harper, man. Like, I liked him a lot. Even when he was in WWE and he was like the second of the Bray White family, when he's like the second option, he had something about him I dug, man. The way he kind of had like a Bruiser Brody look to him as he would just his wild facial mannerisms and stuff. Losing Bray White, that sucked. But I'm really high on Brian Pillman Jr. right now. I know he's down in NXT and he's getting ready to do big things. So, and I've got to know his aunt Linda a little bit and his sister Brittany. So I'm really rooting for little Brian to carry on the mantle of the loose cannon.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. I liked him. I like him a lot. I really do. I know when I found out, we went to what was it? Time Warp. I was putting Time Warp ACW was putting on a thing, and he was there, and I just went up to him to talk to him about because I've got a scrapbook. I mean, a scrapbook.
Yeah,
full of older things, and I had a lot of Brian Pillman in it.
he was one of the reasons that I got him. Honestly, his character, that loose cannon character, was so instrumental in me getting over that. Just barring and being inspired by that character, man. It helped me so much. Like I don't think I would have continued if I didn't do the ticking time bomb and borrow from Brian Pillman. I would have not felt comfortable like doing the things that he would have done, or I think he would have done, got the character over, and it's just like, man, thank you, Brian Pillman. It helped me.
Yes, he was always one of my favorites. And then I was talking to Brian Pillman Jr. about that. Because he looks so much like him.
Yeah.
And acts like him. It's just like, oh my gosh. Like you said, he's really carrying on his legacy.
The similarities are uncanny for sure.
Mm-hmm. Really are. Do you have anything else that you would like to tell everybody?
First, thank you guys for having me on. Y'all are doing awesome. Little girl, way to spend time with your mom and do something cool. Keep doing that. That is awesome. I'm a big family man, and as Leatherface would say, well, his family would say, the Saw is family. So stay close. with your mom. Keep doing this. Keep learning from all the wrestlers that you interview, man. Pick their brains and, get you a little book or something. Write down interesting things that each person says. Keep doing that. And I'm going to be rooting you on because I think you're going to do awesome. I really do. And I've got a YouTube channel, Adam Newsome 84. I think it is Wild Time Podcast with an E. The Wild will have an E after it. You check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Wildfire Championship Wrestling, man. We are going to be at Betsy Lane High School October the 7th. A big night. Chick Donovan's going to be there. Mr. Hughes meet and greets. Me and Shane Douglas casket match. It's just going to be a fire on the mountain. And you guys are going to be there too. Like I said, 2 tickets. Human horror movie red carpet treatment. So thank you guys for having me on, man.
Oh, thank you. And it's been an honor. And we cannot wait to see you guys on the 7th. We'll definitely be there. We'll have our little ones with us, and we'll be sharing and promoting as much as we can for you guys. But,
Well, that means the world. And you remember to tell the little fella that I'll have him something to remind me at the show.
okay. I'll definitely tell him. He'll be excited. I'll let him watch this. And he'll be like, oh, you
What's
are.
his name again?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Has he heard that one before?
Yeah.
Well, Jeremiah, listen, if you can watch this, I have a mask for you, a human horror movie Jason mask, and it is yours on the house, my man, when you come.
Oh, thank you so much.
No
That'll mean the
problem.
world to him. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but thank you. Thank you so much.
No
And
problem.
everybody, this is Adam Newsome, the Human Horror Story. Go watch them on the October the 7th. You will not be sorry you did. Go check out independent wrestling anywhere around you. You really need to see it. It's not like what you watch on TV. It's an amazing experience. And this is Cindy and Destiny, and with Keep It Real podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and follow Adam. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.